What is up guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, where today we're going to be discussing the things to take note before installing Windows 10. First and foremost, you need to know the operating system requirements. In this case, the hardware requirements, your CPU, your hard drive, your RAM, and so forth. The next thing we're going to look into will be the Windows 10 ISO image. And then the third thing will be the USB bootable software. And then lastly will be your internet connectivity. The required knowledge for this tutorials is from a beginner level, somebody who doesn't know anything about IT but wants to learn, and all the way to any other level above that. So join me guys as we will be discussing this. Feel free to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts and your input so that in the next few videos I can also include your opinion and we can discuss these things further. This is a channel created for learning and sharing of information. No answer or question is wrong. Instead, it's just a way for one to learn more. So, looking at the key hardware that determines your computer's performance. In this case, you're going to need your CPU or your processor. You're going to need your RAM or memory. You're going to need your HDD or storage. And the GPU is optional. When we talk about the CPU or the central processing unit, we are talking about the brain of the computer containing all the circuitry needed to process input and store data and output results. Without this piece of hardware on your computer will not function. This is the heart, this is the brain of your computer, this is where everything happens and you need this. So choosing the right CPU for your computer or your laptop is vital guys, especially if you want to use systems like Windows 10 or Windows 11 or any other system above that. So moving on to random access memory. In this case, it's where the data is stored that your computer processor needs to run your applications and open your files. If you want to open your Microsoft Edge or your Windows Explorer or any other game inside your PC or any other file like Excel spreadsheets or Word documents, your RAM is the one that is responsible for allocating the right memory or the right resources to that application so that it can function. Without the RAM again guys, remember you cannot use your PC. This is very crucial to have. Hard disk drives. Hard disk drives are used by computers to store information. Hard disks use magnetic recording to store information on rotating platters. These are all traditional hard drives. We will talk more about SSDs in the coming few slides. And then last but not least, one component that is important, but at the same time it depends on what you use your computer for, the GPU, the graphics processing unit. This helps handle graphics related work like graphics, effects, and videos. This is mostly used by people that are doing video editing, that are doing streaming, and also gaming. So if you're not in that category, don't worry, you don't need this. But if you are in that category, then you might consider looking into GPUs. So the system requirements for installing Windows 10 are as follows. These are the basic requirements for installing Windows 10 on a PC. If your PC does not meet these requirements, you may not have the great experience intended with Windows 10 and might want to consider purchasing a new laptop that can support the hardware that is required by Windows 10. Mind you guys, these are the minimum requirements for installing Windows 10. The processor that is required is a 1 GHz processor. The RAM that is required is a 1 GB for 32-bit systems or 2 GB for 64-bit systems. We will talk more about 32-bit versus 64-bit when it comes to processors. The hard drive that is required is a 32 gig hard drive or larger. The graphic card that is required should be compatible with DirectX 9. The display of your screen is not necessarily a big issue, but at least the minimum should be 800 by 600. And last but not least, internet connection. Internet connectivity is necessary to perform updates and to download and take advantage of some features. Remember guys, you can still be able to install an operating system without the internet. The internet is when you want to install updates from the get-go, want to connect to your Microsoft account, and also sync your information to your Microsoft account. This makes life easy as you walk into the system that is already prepared for you and is ready to use. If you don't use the internet connectivity from the get-go, you might want to plug in your internet connectivity after you're done installing your system. If you don't do this, you won't get the necessary updates, you won't be logged into your Microsoft account, and in this case some features may be disabled from the get-go because you do not have the internet connectivity to download those features. So remember guys, the internet connectivity depends on you. If you need it, then you can plug it in and then make sure that everything is synced from the get-go. But if you don't need it, after you're done installing your system, you may want to plug in your internet so that you can get the necessary updates and also improve your computer's performance by keeping it up to date with Windows updates. Recommended system requirements for Windows 10. To install Windows 10 on a PC, these are the recommended requirements. The recommended hardware listed below will ensure a great experience for your Windows 10. A processor or CPU with a speed of 2 GHz or higher, in this case Intel or AMD will do just fine. A random access memory of 4 GB or higher will be best. A 100 GB solid state drive will be better than a normal traditional hard drive. Reason for that is that the SSD is much faster and much better than the old traditional hard drives. So consider going for an SSD instead of the old traditional hard drives. Another component that will ensure a great experience in your Windows 10 journey is a GPU, any supported Microsoft DirectX 9 or 10 graphics device or third-party sellers. In this case, your Nvidia, AMD, Asus, and a couple of more. A screen resolution of at least 1024 by 768. So guys, those are the recommended requirements for Windows 10. Your processor of 2 GHz or better, your RAM of 4 gigs or higher, your SSD drive of 100 gigs of storage or higher, a GPU that supports DirectX 9 or 10, and a screen resolution of 1024 by 768 or higher. Now, my PC hardware details, guys. This is a list of all the hardware details of my laptop that I'll be using for these demonstrations. In this case, I'll be using an Intel Core i5 10th generation 2.11 GHz CPU. I'll be using an 8 GB RAM and also a 1 TB SSD drive. I'll also be using a built-in Nvidia GPU on the laptop, and also my display resolution will be at 1366 by 768 throughout all my tutorials. For the internet connection, I'll be using my home Wi-Fi or my LAN. So guys, in this video, I managed to cover the minimum requirements to run a Windows 10 operating system. And then also I've included the recommended hardware to run Windows 10 to get the best experience out of Windows 10. And also I've shown you my system in terms of what I'll be using to run Windows 10 and also do these tutorials. Your hardware is very important. Be mindful when you're choosing your CPU. Be mindful when you're choosing your hard drive. Preferably go for SSD solid state drives. They are much better, much faster than the traditional hard drives. And these days, the price range is basically similar. So be mindful, take your time, go out there and shop for an SSD. An SSD will save you a whole lot of stress in terms of a slow computer, because remember, your operating system is installed on your hard drive, and if your hard drive is slow, that means even if you have a Core i7 CPU with 16 gigs of RAM and your hard drive is a normal traditional HDD, which is the hard disk drive, eventually over time your PC will become slow. So preferably go for an SSD from the get-go. This will save you a whole lot of stress. And then if you want to take it up a notch, you can also buy an NVMe hard drive or an M2 hard drive that is quicker and much more faster, and is plugged directly into your motherboard. It works similar to an SSD, just better. It will be more costly to buy it, but it is the best option in this case if you want to play games, if you want to stream. A normal SATA SSD hard drive will do just fine instead of buying a HDD traditional hard drive. So to conclude guys, in order to have the best experience with Windows 10, be mindful of your CPU, be mindful of your RAM, and the hard drive that you choose. These are the key components that will ensure that you have the best experience with Windows 10. And last but not least, like the video, leave a comment down below, and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel for more content. Remember guys, each one teach one. See you on the next one.